Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Dementia Lecture Series, MCI Dementia Lecture Series. I am Alice Cooper Salisbury. I'm a clinical social worker in Emory's Cognitive Neurology Clinic, and I'm joined by my colleague, Debbie Arnold, who is in the Cognitive Empowerment Program. Today, this is a lecture series where we have topics that are about the things that impact the lives of people living with MCI and dementia. And so this is monthly. We would like to know any other topics that you would like to have us discuss. So please make sure that you contact us to let us know. Some housekeeping details. This is a webinar, and so participants are muted and they are not on screen. So you are anonymous, but please, we want you to participate. So at the bottom of your screen, usually, if you're on a laptop or a computer, please put your questions and comments in the Q&A box. And we are going to have questions at the end of the session today. We will make sure we get to them. But please put them in all along as you're going so that you don't forget. I am going to turn this over to Debbie to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Alice. I'm really excited to introduce Maureen Burke. She is one of the occupational therapists that I have the pleasure of working with over here at the Cognitive Empowerment Program. Maureen has been a practicing occupational therapist for more than 30 years now, and her focus is on older adults, especially their ability to maintain dignity and a sense of independence, regardless of a diagnosis of a neurocognitive disease. Maureen teaches what we call functional independence at the Cognitive Empowerment Program. For those of you who are not familiar with our program, this is a research study that investigates the impact of evidence-based lifestyle interventions for those diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. As an aging in place specialist, Maureen serves as a research affiliate at the Georgia Tech College of Design School of Architecture as well. So welcome, Maureen, and we are really thrilled to have your expertise about home safety. These are things that really impact all of us.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Alice. Thank you all who are joining. It's really nice to be here and to be able to talk about a topic that I love to share information about, and hopefully you'll find it beneficial in some ways. So as Debbie
Maureen,
mentioned—
I'm sorry, talk
yes,
up just a little bit.
just a little, sorry, I will talk louder. How's that, you
Yeah.
guys? A little better?
Good.
So my focus, as an OT, is always to promote a level of independence regardless of where that person is and the stage of their life and the stage of whatever disability may be present. So with that in mind, and not totally clear on exactly who is watching today, I wanted to provide an overview that would help hopefully those at various stages of dementia. And so we will talk about why people fall and things we can do, simple things, interventions that you can implement really quickly. Some technologies that support remote access, and that's specifically for perhaps someone who is living independently, but a family member kind of wants to keep an eye on how things are going. So we'll look at medication systems. I have a little bit on fire safety, a phone that I like with remote access. There's an app and a few tracking systems that we'll take a look at. So we know that falls happen, and sometimes they're not within our control, but sometimes they are. And so we will move on from there. And this is the statistic that is disturbing, but important to know, is that if a person has a diagnosis of dementia, they are 2 to 3 times more likely to fall than their cognitively intact counterparts. And so we could view that for many different reasons, possibly not remembering to do certain things, or just having difficulty with creating a new habit, right? And that's okay. So what I've tried to focus on are changes that are intuitive, that don't require needing to think a lot. It's just kind of there, and it makes sense and it's easy to use. So some of the effects on falls, we have to cover this part. 1 in 4 adults, as you see, 65 and older have fallen. The CDC keeps track of this and considers old people, for their statistical purposes, age 65 and above. And so we know that women tend to fall more than men. The older we get, the more we fall. We don't want to fall at all. But if a fall is related to an injury, then it is much harder for older adults, and specifically older adults who have a cognitive or brain-related issue, to recover. This has been my area of expertise for probably 25 of my 30 plus years. It's very close to my heart, because I worked on the other side, where unfortunately the falls had occurred, the person was injured, they required hospitalization, and it is a tremendous psychological and emotional stressor for the injured person, and also their loved ones. So my goal here is to try to give you some ideas to block that from happening. So we're going to focus on prevention. And as you probably, if you listen to some of these lectures through Emory, we do emphasize the importance of exercise for both brain and heart health. And that's about 150 minutes of exercise a week. Excuse me. So that's like a 30-minute brisk walk 5 days a week. My little hand clicker, I think, needs new batteries, so we'll just do this by hand. We do have a Tai Chi expert, master rather, who teaches in our program. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. If you're looking for a new exercise that is terrific for balance, flexibility, and strength, it is Tai Chi. And there's a lot of strong evidence to support that. Another factor that if you or a loved one is noticing problems, if you have fallen, if you feel imbalanced, like you almost have fallen, in the state of Georgia, you are allowed to self-refer yourself to physical therapy. Yes, they take your insurance and everything. So you just get a call in, schedule an appointment to see a physical therapist, and let them know what exactly your problem is. They will be able to look at your balance, your strength, and hopefully create a program to make you a little bit stronger and improve your balance. They cover about 8 visits in Georgia, and at that time you do need to have a doctor to sign off on that. But the first 8 are covered without the doctor's order. So this looks more like a hotel than a house, doesn't it? But anyways, the point is that most falls occur inside of the home. And we know specifically where in the home people fall. They fall in the bathroom, and they get hurt more in the bathroom. They also fall in the bedroom, and they fall on the stairs. And so we're going to go through those 3 areas and give you some tips on how to improve your space. Of course, a high injury rate would be expected in the bathroom. It's hard surfaces. People do not have their shoes on or their glasses. It's soapy and slippery, so that is not unexpected. An ideal appearance of a shower. I'm pretty much a visual learner, so I hope you enjoy this picture. This is a really great photograph of a walk-in shower. There's no transition on the floor. There's no stepping over, even a little bump to get into the shower. But as you see, the tile and the flooring have changed. So it's evident that you're walking into the shower. It's bright, light coloring. Those with dementia do better with bright light, no busy patterns, and that bright white or simplicity. We do recommend, of course, grab bars, security bars, whatever you want to call them, around your tub and shower. They are so helpful. And come in a lot of different designs. 30 years ago, I worked in a hospital from the 1940s, and they don't look like that anymore. And it's been a nice transition over the last 10 years. And so these are some examples. They look, don't look like grab bars really, but you can pick any shape or style. In a perfect world, an occupational therapist could come to your home, do an assessment of the person who needed the bars placed, mark those spots, recommend the length of them and so forth. But you could also do it yourself by analyzing and paying attention to how you step in. So you always want to have support as you're stepping over the surface because you're on one foot, right? So you're holding on. You also want to have a second touch point. So touch points during the entire process of showering. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Of course, they do have to be installed directly into the studs. We know that the highest fall risk for injury so are in the bathroom, but of the movements that we perform, it is stepping out of the shower or the bathtub where people fall the most. So this is a very simple solution. You don't have to redo your bathroom. Just add a non-slip mat inside of your shower, outside of the shower as you step out. And so I added these, they're not your typical mats. These will offer sensory input. So through your feet. So if there's any numbness or tingling, you will feel the cessation of this soft memory foam that your foot will go on as you step out. That is very important for stability. And also in the inside of the shower, you'll notice that this is more of a loofah type mat. These are my two favorites. Again, this will offer that sensory input into the foot, which allows you to feel secure in the space that you're at. A really simple item is called a tub clamp, and this is for those who maybe need just a little bit of help and still need to step over into a tub. It's inexpensive. You just screw it onto the side of the tub. It doesn't scratch the tub, and it gives you a really solid support as you step over into the tub. We'll talk a little bit about shower chairs. There are a lot of varieties out there. Some look really nice, but they don't have adjustable legs. It's really important to have a shower chair or a shower bench that has adjustable legs. You can have those with armrests, and you can have a back support. But the concept with this is the higher the surface, the easier it is for a person to rise and sit. And what that does is reduce the chance of falling because there's no stressor involved, right? It's higher, it's easier to rise. So a person who is 6'4" versus a person who is 5 foot, very different. So again, adjustable legs are really critical, whichever style you need. This is called a tub bench. This is great for people who have the inability or to be able to step over the tub. I've saved families, not to pat myself on the back, I'm sorry, but some families feel that they need to completely demolish and spend tens of thousands of dollars renovating a bathroom so they can have what they call a walk-in shower for their loved one who has more of a disability than they used to. You don't need to. With this tub bench, you simply walk up, you sit on the edge of it, or from a walker, or from a cane, or from a wheelchair, sit down on the bench and scoot over. I had a gentleman, a relatively young gentleman in his 30s who had a catastrophic injury, which required the amputation of both of his legs above the knees. And so we were practicing. I said, we're going to take a shower. You want to go see what we have? And so it was just a practice session, but we went in and he popped out of his wheelchair and popped onto this bench and said, I love this. Can I take a shower right now? Because he just didn't realize that there was a possibility, something so easy that could allow him to be independent again with taking care of his personal needs. The same holds true for toilets. It's correct height. So the higher the toilet, the easier it is to access. People actually fall getting off of the toilet because when you plop onto a low toilet, that's a little bit easier than trying to rise up. So again, that same concept of elevated height and arm supports if needed. Now, you probably heard of the ADA comfort height toilets. They're pretty much the ones that are sold now, you know, if you buy a new toilet. They're 17 to 19 inches base to bowl, where our traditional toilets from homes built in the 40s and 50s are 15 inches. So, you know, if you're thinking about getting a new toilet, you could gain a few inches in height and save a little money perhaps on your water bill too. There's some portable options if you'd rather do that, or even if it's more difficult for a client, Usually Medicare doesn't cover these. Sometimes they'll cover the one on the right if the person is hospitalized. The gray one is considered a 3-in-1, and Medicare believes that that person should be able to use that bedside, use that when the frame is placed over the top of the toilet, and thirdly, when it's placed in the shower. So that's the theory on that, but they do work, and they are adjustable. There's also a lot of ones like the lower left here that have a raised seat with handles. So a lot of choices you can choose from to add that support in the height. And these are really, really pretty integrated toilet paper holders. So they're a grab bar and a toilet paper holder. So I just wanted to show you a picture of this so your space can still look really pretty by adding a grab bar. Believe it or not, people who have certain issues with their brain or their physical ability do roll out of bed. And so there are a few things that can be done for that. So we definitely don't want that to happen. You could add a bed support similar to this that attaches, between the mattress and the box spring. There are other versions of this, and also rolled mattresses. The rolled mattress can make it a little harder for a person to get out of bed, but it surely will help them feel that barrier as they're rolling at night subconsciously and then move back to the center of the bed. Just one point on this process of getting out of bed. I just want you to be mindful that falls do happen with getting out of bed, not necessarily because the person has weak legs, but it's because of the change of blood pressure. So you want to take your time with that. You want to sit up, move your legs to the edge of the bed, and then do like a count to 10 and let your body adjust before standing. Night lights. So the bedroom is the other place that you really should have a nightlight system from your bedroom to your bathroom for those toilet runs. Again, we're thinking about things that are intuitive, that are just in place. So a person with dementia would automatically use it because it's there, not having to turn a switch on and off, right? We don't want that type of system. So the white lights are great, but if you're sensitive to sleep, the one on the bottom, which is more of an amber tone, is much more suitable for those with any concerns about disruption in the sleep cycle. That amber or red gold tones affect the melatonin and allow us hopefully to get up and go back to sleep. Okay, the last area that we're going to talk about are stairs. Stairs, of course, we all know are dangerous from when our kids were little to all along the lifespan. So we do want railings on both sides so they can be held, obviously, ideally extending beyond the top and beyond the bottom. That's not always necessary, but that's okay. What I do want you to know is that that bright white automatic lighting is a great thing to also install on your stairs. There are things that you can just stick on, or it can be professionally hardwired and installed to shine on the stairs themselves, and also overhead lighting. The highest risk of falling is on that final step on the descent. So right at the last step. So we want you to keep holding on to that railing all the way down and be mindful that last step is the one that gets a lot of people. So we don't want it to get you. What you can do, it has to do with depth perception, actually, which can affect some of our clients with dementia and just not being able to see, even if there is a change in surface. So we do have some solutions for that. And that would be adding some sort of what we call a visual cue. So this person happened to paint their patio with the bright yellow. Again, the yellow, the oranges, the reds are what aging eyes will pick up. And we'll see that visual cue before we even cognitively process that we have a step that we need to go down. A few years ago, my mother and father-in-law were in town, and we have a step down into our living room. And so my father-in-law was in good shape, but he tripped and he caught himself and almost fell. So I went out to the garage and I grabbed up some of those orange soccer cones. That's why I included that here that my kids had, and put them at all points in our house that had one of those slight changes, and surely didn't want them to fall. So you could do that. We had a client in our program who broke her ankle on her back deck stairs, which were a brown color, and she chose to paint the edge of each tread in white. So it looked like a really pretty design, but worked. Sometimes thresholds going out to a porch, if it's a raised threshold, you could just add a piece of tape also. Tape works really well. Okay, now we are going to shift focus a little bit to medications. Medications are critical. We all know that. We're supposed to take our medicines the same time every day. So I wanted to show you a few systems that are out there that are not the traditional pill box. So this is a programmable pill box called MedQ, and this one will constantly beep at you and flash at you until you take your medications. So it can get pretty rude, but it's a reminder for sure. And the nice thing about this one, so say it's, Monday morning, and Monday's little pill box, only Monday will flash at you. So it's very clear that that is the one that you need to open up and take your medicine from. Another option is a locked pill box. And this is if we want to make sure that someone does not have access from the other medications due to overdosing. So this is a locked system. And it kind of works the same way. You set when the medication is to be taken, and then it will drive you crazy with all the lights and the alarms until that dispenser is flipped open and the medicine is taken out of the unit. And the other one, this is a nice high-tech unit. Many families who have loved ones who are in assisted living or living on their own use this. It's an automatic dispenser, and it's automatically filled. Notifications, there's an app, so the loved one who's watching the medications can see if the medications have been dispensed. It supplies up to a 90-day supply of medications, and there's certain ones that it won't do, but it's really it is a great system for someone who lives alone and has time-sensitive medications. So again, the audible reminders, the flashing, please take your medicine is part of this. So 90 days, and I believe the max amount of medications in that one is, let's see, I think it's 10. But don't quote me on that. It is about 10. So if you're on more than that, you may have to think about another option that could work. Medication lockbox, I think would be helpful if someone is, you want to make sure those medications are stored properly, not just set up on a shelf for anyone to grab. We had some pediatricians in our class a few years ago, and they were very adamant for people at all stages of life to ensure that there was a medication lockbox on site to avoid any accidents or confusion. Okay, zipping over here to this item, which is a fire avert. And this was first shown on Shark Tank. And it's a smart plug. And so it works by, you take your plug and plug it into, say, your electric oven. So you plug that into the wall, put the electric oven plug into that, or microwave, and then have it sync or synchronize with your smoke detector. So if this unit then will detect if there's any smoke, then all units will be cut off who have the smart plug. So this can be used for gas stoves, electric stoves, and or microwaves. And it also provides, again, text messages to the person who may be that person's person. So that is called Fire Avert. It's available, through Amazon, but a lot of other places like Best Buy. And I think, including myself, that every kitchen should have just a little can of this Fire Avert spray. I don't know about you guys, but I have a fire extinguisher. My husband and I, it's been there for years. It's stuffed in the back of the cabinet. So if anything happened quickly, like a fire, we'd be pulling through junk in the closet and trying to find it and hope that it wasn't expired. And then, oh yeah, how do we use this thing? So this is a really easy option. It's like the size of cam spray, and you can just leave that on your countertop. So if any problem occurs, you can spray it. And there's also fire blankets, which are also very great to use and easy. I know I'm covering a lot of information and moving topic to topic, but I'm just trying to give you kind of my favorite areas, favorite items and areas that I think may be interesting or helpful to you. So I have one phone here, again, caregiver remote access. And this is called the Res Memory Phone. It's very nice because the caregiver can manage all whoever has a contact in this phone. So this means no calls from telemarketers or swindlers or people, just up to no good. So it can hold up to 60 contacts. And it's really nice because it's a simple format. Answer is green, hang up is red, and then it is a picture phone too. So, excuse me, the individual can just see, oh, that's my niece calling. They know it's Robert, but everything is labeled with a picture, and I really like that. The caregiver can also see if the battery needs to be charged from afar, so can call and say, hey, mom, dad, plug that phone in, it's running a little low on juice. The next item is a location tracker, and there are a lot of them out there, but this particular one is called Life 360. And the reason I like this one is because it's compatible for Apple phones and Android phones. And so it allows family members and friends to see each other's locations. And so there are a variety of plans that Life 360 offers, but there's a free plan. And so you don't have to buy any of the extras. You can just sign up for the basic location app to keep track of each other. And this is a relatively new phone, and it's called TheoraCare. And it kind of does it all. So it is a watch that can be analog, it can be digital, it has a lot of different face options. Sometimes our older clients prefer non-digital and want the traditional looking watch. So the watch is locked onto the person's wrist. It serves as a tracker, and it can also serve as a fall detection system. The care partner can program certain geofencing areas, so areas that this person is allowed safely to walk in. And so if that person walks out of that zone, the person's app will click, ring, whatever, and let them know, gee, mom has walked beyond, we better see what's going on with mom. Okay. The fall detection is kind of cool on this because the watch talks to the person and it asks if you're okay. And this device can actually figure out if it's a soft fall where someone just kind of got down and got back up, or if it's a hard fall. And it will contact the care partner, the app again, instead of immediately going to 911. And that's something that a lot of our family members have talked about that they would like, so that, emergency services aren't called every single time that there's a fall, but that they be contacted first. So you might want to check out that TheoraCare. And then I just love orientation clocks in general. So I wanted to show you a picture of this one. As you see, it gives the day of the week and PM and AM and all the information to help keep orientation clear to anyone watching it. This orientation clock is just a clock with this information as you see it. But there is also another version called Rosie the Reminder, which allows you to add reminders into a clock that looks just like this. So I'd say, have this program at, 11 o'clock, and then I'd come on and say, hey, Dad, why don't you get ready? I'll be over to pick you up in 30 minutes. We're going to go to lunch. And so that's how that would be programmed. So it's a nice reminder clock. And I do hope that I haven't exceeded my time limit here, but I have a couple of links that I think will be helpful. There's home safety tips specifically for those people who are caregiving for those with Alzheimer's or related dementias. It's very specific, very detailed, great information. Also, the alzheimerstore.com, which many of these unique items are located. There is a link also to that app called Life 360, which you might find helpful. And then a general check your own safety at home checklist. And also, of course, Fire Alert is over on that too. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Wow, that's a lot of information. Thank you so much, Maureen. I don't think that we have any questions in the chat right now. I was wondering, sometimes we have folks who report they haven't had exactly a hard fall, but they've ended up on the floor having slid down off of an upholstered couch or the edge of a bed. And I'm just wondering if you have any instruction or safety tips around that. Obviously a hard fall is a more dangerous situation, but it still can be really hard to get up from the floor.
Right. So I guess when they're off the floor, when they're on the floor, yes, that is a process which physical therapy is very helpful with. Occupational therapy can teach too, but it's about getting up onto all fours, locating a solid surface, like going back to the couch and slowly pushing yourself back up to position.
Mhm.
There are security bars that are actually attached to couches to add a little extra handle. So the sliding is probably has to do with the biomechanics of how the fall is occurring. So increased height,
Mhm.
perhaps it's a struggle to stand. So adding an extra cushion or so could help that. There are blocks that can actually be placed underneath uh, chairs and couches and
Mhm.
beds that raise surfaces. That could be an issue. Um, I'm not sure if I've answered your question exactly right, but hopefully I've addressed that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that those are good tips and pointers. Thank you. Alice, do you have any frequently asked questions that you get around uh, fall prevention and safety in general at home?
I can't say I do. Maureen actually did a great job. I was taking screenshots, particularly of the bathroom with regard to even just the handle of getting into the tub for those who cannot afford to revamp everything in their bathroom. And so I didn't have any questions, but I was very much taking pictures and screenshots of those things.
And I
Yeah, I
guess
think,
some
go ahead.
Okay. I mean, just the because of the time restraints here, I didn't go through every single risk factor for falling, but sometimes it's just not having shoes on. And we know that wearing shoes in the house is important. The research shows that. So non-slip, practical type shoes. So no flip-flops, nothing with heels, and that should be inside the house. And so that is one way to prevent falls. So that's and also the sit to rise. So if it is coming from a surface, to make sure you scoot to the edge, take your time, and rise because of that change in blood pressure. Those are very preventable type things.
Mhm.
I do have a question about what you just mentioned about the slippers, just because I have an older adult who she was actually wearing her husband's slide-in slippers and they seemed a little bit big. Is there something in terms of the size and should it fit all around the foot or slide in? Is there a difference?
Yes, and that's a really good question. It's recommended that people wear shoes with 3 points of support. So across the forefoot, across the ankle, and across the heel. So one, two, three. Sometimes I think of a sports sandal that has a like almost a tire sole, but it has those 3 points of support for secure. So yes, the ideally nothing with the back open. Yeah. So um, sometimes we have fun and I show clients in class, okay, should you wear this one or this one? So it'll be high heels or something with an open sole. But they're always surprised that the sandals that have those 3 points of support are okay, even though the toes are exposed. So yeah, and then of course getting rid of clutter and dog toys and that kind of thing, little rugs that are in the way. We all kind of know that, but it's important to move those things out of the way too.
Yeah, good point. I really like I recognize they're probably more expensive and maybe not for everyone, but um the handholds that are incorporated into the toilet paper holder or things like that. Because I think when our balance is not great, we're looking for anything to counter surf or grab onto. And sometimes in an older home, that soap dish that's integrated into your tile shower, is not so sturdy anymore.
Right.
And
That's a
it's
very good
it's not
point.
the best thing to rely on. It's not to bear your weight.
Right. Very true. So it's kind of good to try to implement with things that, you put in place. So they're intuitive and it's there. So the soap dish isn't there, but a nice pretty railing is there where you just grab onto that instead. And
Exactly.
sometimes just kind of as in addition to that, this maybe is going a little too far, but if you do have a bar for someone who has advanced dementia, it would be a good idea to wrap that piece of tape around it, that bright orange yellow. So there's that visual cue for that person and an additional bit of resistance for that person to hold on to, whether it be by the toilet or, in the shower.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate all of these gadgets and information. Those are things that most of us are not aware even exist unless we watch a lot of Shark Tank. So thank you again for being with us today. And this recording will be on our YouTube channel within the next week or so. So you can feel free to rewatch it and share it with your contacts. And thanks again, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen.